Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Fortress of Comic News, episode 423. I am one of your hosts, Chris, and this week I have a special guest host. Welcome back to the show, Mr. Travis Gibb.
Yo, yo, yo.
How you doing, Travis?
Am I number one guest, like of appearances? I feel like I am.
Yeah, I think if we did the math, you've surpassed Mr. Colin Bunn.
He's far more talented than me, but yes, correct. And can write faster than me. The guy's got to do a script every 2 days, I think. I don't know.
It's funny whenever we have him on the show, and I have to do probably twice the research I do for everybody else, just because. And we always forget something that he has coming out because he has 1,000 comics coming out at any given time.
I want to talk to him specifically about his Magneto
run. Well, he was in one of your books, wasn't he?
What's up?
He did one of your books, right? The Cthulhu Invades?
Yeah, he was in Cthulhu Invades. Actually, he's done two, technically.
Okay.
So he did Cthulhu Invades Neverland, so that's original content that he wrote. And then Holiday Spirits 3, he wrote like a short story like that he gave to like his Patreons or newsletter or whatever. And Jerome really liked it. So we had Patrick draw it out and like used it word for word. But it's kind of like an illustrated Skull and Bones.
Oh, interesting. So everybody out there, I know we got a special guest host, and that's awesome. But we also have an interview this week. First time on the show, John Westhoff is joining us in the middle of the show. So stay tuned for that.
His book, Drumsticks of Doom, is one of my favorites. As somebody who writes a punk rock book, I really love that book. So definitely ask about that. That book's great.
Yeah, excited to talk to him. Like I said, one of those guys, he's been around, and we've never invited him on the show. So I was glad to finally get him on. And you'll be seeing that in the middle of the show. But what you got going on right now?
So I am going on a cruise tomorrow. So if the cruise gets toppled by rogue whales, because I heard that's a thing. Actually, yes. That was a thing a couple years ago, but it could still be a thing. They still could be angry. And they attack me on the way to the Bahamas or Mexico. This could be the last interview I ever do.
Yeah, and then I'll have to re-edit this to put an in memorial at the beginning too. So
right. And I think the odds of that happening are very, very high, because I plan on not being on social media for 7 days, and that has never happened as far as I know since social media has existed. So
I'm going to be excited to hear your experience with that when you get back, because I feel like it's going to be like so calming.
Maybe. It's really hard for me, and I have all these excuses, right? Because my job prior to comics, and I still own it, but I don't. Comics is more my primary, is web design. So I have to do social media all the time. Wait, hold on, was that a little Liquid Death?
Yeah.
I didn't know they made like Bud Light size little Liquid Deaths. That's neat.
Yeah. So, quick side tangent. Every month, my company does safety meetings.
Okay.
And it was my day off for the safety meeting, so I had to go in. So I'm in street clothes, and I brought one of these.
Yeah.
And the district manager just looked over at me and goes, "Chris, did you bring a Coors Light to the meeting?" I was like, I wish I was that badass, but no, it's just a Liquid Death.
I actually have a very similar story. I went to Cumberland Farms and I bought 2 Liquid Deaths. And the guy behind the register, I was with my nephew, who was about 16. And they said, can we see his ID? I was like, I guess you can see his ID, but I'm buying water, so I'm not sure what the problem is. But if you really want to see his ID, I guess. It's like, I'm so sorry.
So you're going off the grid. This is going to be coming up when you're off, so I guess I'm not going to get the Travis Gibb bump on social media for this. But you don't have any Kickstarters per se going on right now. But I guess real quick, I know you have one going on for our late friend. If you wanted to pitch that real quick before we jump into the news.
Oh, okay. First off, I always have Kickstarters. That's an insane statement. I have 2 live right now. I have another one that I know you've backed in the past. I'm pretty positive, anyways. I use Kickstarter to summon Cthulhu, Pat Chan's book.
Yes.
Yeah. So that trade is coming out, and it has material by me and Patrick. We did like a parody of Prince. Granted, say technicals, so that's on there. But the one that you're talking about is Hell on Heels. So Hell on Heels is a book that my friend Daniel Martinez wrote. And I don't think I've said this publicly, but it's been a year, so I think it's safe. He committed suicide. He unlived himself. And it was very tragic. And me and my wife have been very invested in taking care of the widow. Like, we feel that it's such a thing that's just not talked about, right? Like, you take care of widows when they're old, but when they're young, like, the people just kind of ignores it and like trying to get on. So we've invested a lot of time with that family, and we make sure we spend a lot of time with her and like help her, because they did a lot of things locally that were very, very positive. They did like turkey drives, and they did like Halloween events, and really, really good things for the community. And it was really tragic, and he was going to do a lot of mental health stuff, and he was misdiagnosed. He even checked himself in right before into a mental health facility, and they let him go. And they probably shouldn't have, he probably wasn't ready to leave. And so we have had a book that was mostly done. It needed like a few pages colored and a cover colored, that we've been sitting on for a year, that we wanted to wait to the anniversary of the past the launch. So we launched it. It's Hell on Heels, number 2. As you see, it doesn't have like the thousands of covers that his last one had. His last one had literally 12 covers. It was ridiculous. But this one has a few, because we just bought whatever he had. So all these are vetted by him, chose by him. And we launched it, and hopefully it'll do well. It's at like $3,000 right now. It needs 5 for fun. But it's such an important thing to me. It's tough because I don't particularly care for not for safe work. Like, I've been very clear about that. I don't particularly love that, but I love my friend.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a struggle to push it heavily like I do my books, because it's not my genre, it's not my fan base, and I don't want to confuse my fan base. And I spoke to the wife about this. So I'm sharing it, but I'm not sharing it like aggressively. So I'm hoping it does well on its own. And if it does well, he has actually 3 other scripts that we may consider like putting together, his name. But this was the last one that he saw the art. The art was done before he passed. And so we'd really like to get this out with the family and do all that, and then hopefully we're going to actually complete No Contest too, and do that and wrap that up in a memorial for his daughter. Like, and we're going to take texts that I have from him, and texts from his wife from him, and talk about his daughter, because at the end of the last issue, like, she was pregnant, she was about to have a baby. So we're going to have that birth and really show his daughter, what your dad said about you, like literally word for word what your dad said about it. Obviously, we're going to put a comic book lens, but like, these are things and questions and stuff. So yeah, it's a great book. So yeah, thank you for allowing me to pitch that for a minute.
No, it's great, man. Because I got to know him near the end of his life there too. He's a great guy, and I kind of parrot what you said. Not my style of book, but there's plenty of people that enjoy that kind of thing. And I know he did really well with the last issue. And you can actually go back on the show and find the interview he did about that book. On I don't know what episode it is. I should have looked it up before we recorded, but I'm sure you can find it if you search hard enough.
Yeah, and he didn't do a lot of interviews. Like, he's not he loves comic books, but he didn't want to be a comic book writer. But he got the bug when we did No Contest. Wanted to do his own thing, and as well.
Yeah, dearly missed, but his work lives on. So what do you say we get into the news, because we got a lot this week?
There is a lot. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, so let's start TV news. So we already know that in Season 2 of Daredevil Born Again, Kristen Ritter will be returning as Jessica Jones. But there's a hint that more Defenders might be joining the cast. Both actors, Mike Coulter and Finn Jones, posted on social media this week that they are in New York City, but did not say for what. So I kind of think this is a big ball of nothing. Probably just coincidence. But what do you think?
I thought that when you said this, but since this morning I've seen hints, and someone said they have like a shot of them together, like doing something. So I did when you sent me this, because just kind of like, he sends the notes, day before, and then this morning, I look at my comic news and stuff like that. No, I think they're going to be in it. I think I think Marvel knows one of the great things about Daredevil, and it's a weird season, but I love it because you could tell it was, this is the way we've been doing Marvel things, and they're not working, and there's the way we need to be doing them. Because it's got like that. You got the bank heist episode, which is kind of Miss Marvel style. It's not Daredevil style, right? But it's there. It's all that stuff is in there, and you see the transition. So you see a little bit of that sprinkled in because they didn't want to lose all the footage. I think they're going back and really double downing on, all right, if we were in charge, what would we do? And I do think, the Iron Fist guy has got a bad rap. I think, I do think he phoned it in. I think he knows he phoned it in. And I think that if you give him another shot, it's really, really good. And let's be honest, Shang-Chi was the best Iron Fist movie without Iron Fist in it. Because all the plot was Iron Fist-ish.
and I'll say Finn Jones has said as much sense. He hasn't admitted that he phoned it in, but he's been begging for a second chance because he thinks he can do better. My honest opinion is that best, they're going to record a stinger where they're all together and we'll get something for like a new, whatever the next season is. I don't know if they're going to keep calling it Born Again or not. I really like that first season. I like how it ends in a Empire Strikes Back kind of style.
Yeah.
Obviously that movie resonates very deeply with me. So whenever you homage it in any way, I'm there for it. But I do want season 2 to focus on Daredevil very heavily in that struggle to take back Hell's Kitchen. So, yeah, maybe as a stinger or something, but I still think that might be a stretch. I could be wrong. I know that when this first posted, they were taking pictures there in New York City, and I think it was Mike Coulter that commented on Finn Jones's thing saying, oh shit, like you're in the city or whatever, and possibly they just met up because of that. Who knows? I could be wrong. I've been wrong once before, Travis, but
yeah, I mean, I think they're in it, but I think you are right. I think that the Daredevil people want to show a city leveling up, not a bunch of superheroes saving the day. Because if they wanted to do that, that would have been at the end of season 1.
Yeah.
So I think they want to show a bit. Now, that being said, we know Jessica Jones is heavily involved. She's been there since the beginning of filming. So there will be some stuff. But you've also got to leave some stuff on the table, too.
Mm-hmm.
I also think Frank is going to be quickly exited out of it. I don't think Frank is going to be very active in Daredevil Season 2. I think Frank is going to be exit out for that movie one shot that they've got planned,
He'll get his one shot. I think they'll gauge from there what to do with Punisher, and then we'll see. But yeah,
they put him in a tough situation. Like they're addressing shit they don't want to address in the comic books on TV. So I'm very confused.
Yeah, which I really like that part of it. Like I've said for a while that that's the social commentary to do with Punisher, not the social commentary they've tried to do with Punisher. And yeah, we'll see. And I think that having Barenthal so intertwined with that character and the writing and everything means that he has a feeling about it too, because he flat out said he wasn't coming back unless he liked what they were doing. And now he's involved in writing the script and everything. So there's a lot there. I personally think after Daredevil, if you saw Thunderbolts, seeing that movie, we're in a good place for Marvel. I've said on this show many times that I think people forget what OG Marvel, what MCU was.
Right.
Because a movie like Captain America, while not great, it was a decent popcorn action movie. And I truly do not know what people expect out of these movies anymore. Some of them have been bad. There's been ones I haven't enjoyed. Shows I haven't enjoyed. But something like Captain America, I truly don't understand what people wanted out of that movie because I thought it was fine.
Yeah. I thought that movie was fine.
Yeah.
I would have picked a different, would have made a Hulk movie instead of a Cap movie for that, but that's fine.
It was a Incredible Hulk sequel. It also was weird to solely put in every trailer and every ad for that movie Red Hulk, and then give us 5 minutes of them. But that aside, I thought it was a decent movie.
And then who was the villain that the guy from Breaking Bad was played? What was Sidewinder?
Yes, Sidewinder. As a Cat fan, it's very disappointed.
Serpent
Society and they don't have serpent clothes on. Yes, but We've seen him do this stuff before.
Yeah, I kind of wish it was Seth Rollins and let him do the whole thing. And like, I was one of those guys, and you being a Cap fan, you were probably the same as me. When I saw Serpent Society on the original like list of things coming, I was like, "Oh shit, I'm really excited." And then they X'd it out for Civil War, and I got less excited. I was way more excited about Serpent Society than I was Civil War, even though Civil War is one of my favorite comics of all time. But
yeah, but Civil War, you need a lot to get the like proper Civil War.
Right. I think they did fine with what they had and how they put it together, and the surprise of Spider-Man, and you know, I think someone else was surprised too. There wasn't a surprise on both teams of people who we hadn't seen yet. Like Black Panther hadn't had a movie yet, right?
Yeah, I believe that was his first appearance.
Yeah, so we had Spider-Man and Black Panther, so one on each side. Go, we got cool things coming too. Look at that.
It was a great movie. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't Civil War. All right, so next, during an interview on the Sackoff podcast, I've never heard of this podcast, writer, producer, but they're obviously doing better than me because they got writer, producer Terry Metalis, and he had some things to say about two shows that Mike and I, at least, are eagerly anticipating, and we're talking about a lot in the show. First, he talks about the upcoming Vision Quest, which, those to remind you, it's the Vision Disney Plus show that's the sequel to WandaVision for the MCU, in which he just confirms that they are working on it and anticipates that it's about a year out. To stop their commentary real quick, I think it's 2 or 3 years out, but we'll see. Right. And then I just lost my spot. Year out. And most of his comments are fairly vague outside of that about that show. Then there is the Magic the Gathering show that he is also writing and producing, and he said that the scripts are finished and they're moving on to casting. But it's confirmed, which is a change from what we thought originally, that it will be a CGI show, not a live action show. Before I go on, do you have anything about either of these shows? I'm assuming you're excited about Vision.
Yeah, I'm excited about Vision. However, you know, going back to what you said earlier, I don't want Marvel people. Agatha Comes Along was great. It was an amazing show. And I don't think a lot of people got it. Like I got it. Like I thought it was great. So Agatha All Along was a great show. And then like even like WandaVision, a lot of people didn't get it. Like that's what's great about it. Like as someone who has a lot of superhero stuff in their face every day, it's nice to get stuff like that are a little different, but with characters I love and respect. So super stoked about that. I can give a shit about them ruining Magic the Gathering because that's what they're going to do. It has never successfully worked properly in a comic. I know there's lots of comics. I know there's people who will actively get mad at me. I know Rich Duack, who co-wrote it, would probably be super mad that I said that because we're friends and that's a big career thing for him. But I don't think anybody cares about the lore of Magic the Gathering, and it continues to change so rapidly, like it doesn't matter. In fact, the most exciting lore change that I have is Spider-Man coming to it in August.
So we are going to be on polar opposite sides of multiple things in this. So starting with Vision Quest, I'm really excited about this show. I think there's an opportunity to tell a good story about somebody discovering themselves through a change in their life.
Sure.
Agatha All Along, I thought was hot garbage.
You watched it wrong. Try it again.
I loved WandaVision. I could not stand Agatha All Along. And I did
like theater, do you?
I did like the thing at the end with Death, though. On the other side of that, Magic the Gathering. I am a big fan of Magic the Gathering lore. I think it's a very cool fantasy universe that I think more comics people would get into if they could get past the card game side of it all. And CGI show, it depends how they do it. I mean, if I have to see the CGI before I know for sure, I was kind of excited to get the Game of Thrones of Magic the Gathering, if you will. But we will see, because something like Castlevania was really successful and great for that IP. There's been other animated shows based on video game or board game IPs that have done really well that are not live action. So we'll see what it brings. But I was really hoping this big Magic the Gathering push for multimedia would take it a little more seriously and give us a live action look at what this world can be.
Look, if Dungeons and Dragons haven't successfully made it work yet, Magic has no shot. And I'm sorry to Magic, but Dungeons and Dragons has way better lore for much longer. It's not working. And that last movie was great. Honor Among Thieves was fantastic for Dungeons and Dragons. I feel you.
Yeah.
But based on like Wheel of Time getting canceled and Lord of the Rings doing very horribly on Amazon, I don't think we're doing great in the fantasy realm of media.
Agreed. And I think we need something that takes things seriously. And for me, Magic, yes, I don't play the card game anymore, but I paid attention to the continuity of the card game recently, and it's a hot mess now. Don't get me wrong. The lore I grew up with the novels, the cards, and the comic books, while they didn't have George Lucas's direction to keep things somewhat tidy, there was a lot of good things there that they can pull from. That was simpler than what it is today and was just a fantasy world that delved into things like the multiverse that is now very popular in pop culture. So there is an opportunity here for it to have its moment, but you have to successfully pull it off.
Yeah, I mean, if I was in charge of Magic the Gathering, I would pick a set, and that would be my focus. It's not make a generic. Like this is Ice Age, this is Ursa, whatever the case would be. The things that people enjoy, and really focus on that, because Magic that's the problem with Magic the Gathering. When you say Lord of the Rings, you know you're not talking about the Sumerian era, right? You're talking about the stuff like that. When you're talking Wheel of Time, you know you're talking about just a series, Game of Thrones. You know you're not talking about House of Dragons. You're talking about the book that's never going to be finished. Where Magic doesn't have that. Magic has all these different things that are going on.
And that's why I think you MCU it. You start from a beginning point and you build off of it. You start simple and just build.
Maybe.
But we will see what happens with it. I'm excited to see what they put out. I'm starved for any kind of Magic the Gathering content. We haven't had something since, outside the cards, obviously, since Jed McKay's run over at, I think it was Boom Studios that did that.
I am going to buy Magic for Spider-Man. I don't know why, but I'm excited about it. And I haven't been excited about Magic for years. I don't know what, because they had Final Fantasy, they had Doctor Who, they have other things that I love, but for some reason, a core set being Spider-Man is super exciting to me. It also makes me really mad of what they're doing to the Magic stuff. Did you hear about the online stuff? It's going to be different.
No, that's Mike's realm. He usually fills me in on that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so let me tell you the drama. So real quick. So Spider-Man is going to be a set. It's a core set. So, starter boxes, packs, the whole thing. Cool. They didn't get the license for online, probably because of Snap or whatever they're crazy. So they're making the same cards with different names for online.
That's stupid.
And it's just wild. It's the first chink in the armor of Magic, right? Magic has always been able to hide this line that we're doing it for the fans. We're always about the game first. When that's bad for the game, having different stuff on here and that, you're doing it for money now. So now you gotta have to unveil like who you really are, Wizard of the Coast. We've known for a long time, but you gotta unmask when you finally make a decision. That's bad.
It's one of those things when people believe that kind of thing, I just kind of go, "Oh, honey." Because the Final Fantasy thing's been the biggest thing for Magic the Gathering in its lifetime, possibly. Yeah. Like, there's people that don't give two shits about Magic that are buying those cards, and they're already sold out everywhere. So, successful. Moving on to movies. Possibly sad news, but we'll see. Okay. Marvel Studios announced that they are delaying both Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars by 6 months. Doomsday will now be releasing on December 18th of 2026 and Secret Wars on December 17th of 2027. They state the reason for the delays is to give the movies more time to execute the gargantuan vision, and that they've also had some success with December dates in the past. Does this mean anything to you?
Not really, because, that movie, I want them to take as much time as they can, because unlike Avengers, Infinity War, and all that, we knew and were ready. I don't think we're not ready for a Doomsday thing. right? We're not prepared, and I don't think one Fantastic Four movie is going to get us there, right? Because that's all there is left, right?
Well, and now Spider-Man 4 will be before Doomsday, I believe. And that's all it's announced.
Right? They haven't even filmed. They haven't even filmed it yet. That's not even possible.
I think that's where it is on the schedule. That'll probably be changed, but
right.
Gotta go by the schedule.
Yeah, because they haven't even filmed it yet. But I mean, maybe they can whip it up. But because we've only got Fantastic Four, and then we've got nothing else announced at all.
Yeah, release date July 31st, 2026.
So what's our main movie next year?
That is a great question.
There's got to be something we're missing in here.
Marvel Studios.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that would be it. It would be Spider-Man.
That's it, huh?
2026 releases. Well, the AI tells me that Doomsday and Spider-Man Brand New Day are the only ones announced.
Wow. That is crazy.
I'm sure there'll be shows.
Yeah. I mean, we already got Iron Fist, and we've got, interesting.
They have been.
And there's nothing they could speed up either, unfortunately.
Well, they have been touting this mantra of less, which isn't entirely true because there's a new TV show out every couple of months. But as far as the movies, it has been less. It's been like 1 or 2 a year, as opposed to like 4 or 5 a year, which it was at its peak. For me, I'm fine because make sure the movie's good, because whether they want to admit it or not, Secret Wars is a soft reboot of the MCU. We've got news after this, like X-Men is already being planned. There's more Captain America planned. Like there's more new Avengers stuff. Like there's plenty of stuff coming afterwards. And this is your chance to kind of tick everything back a little bit and find your grounding and move forward. So make sure it's done right.
Too. We got San Diego soon, and I'm sure they'll announce something. And I wouldn't be surprised if they announce something that they're like ready to start filming and that they could get out before Avengers. I wouldn't be surprised, because I hear the rumor that the new Thor is going to be announced at San Diego.
Yeah, and I'm sure that'll be the place where the TV shows start getting announced, because we know what this year looks like for TV. I don't think we have any news about next year other than Daredevil Born Again Season 2, possibly. Yeah. So I'm sure that's going to be the big push, is like, this is what we have for Disney Plus into next year, leading up to Avengers Doomsday.
But that's such a weird it's such a weird play, right? Because you got new Avengers, because we now have changed Thunderbolts to New Avengers, and now it's Avengers Doomsday, which I guess it could be those Avengers. We just never think about it, but I guess it could be. There
is a rumor out there that, because did you see New Avengers or Thunderbolts, whatever we're calling it? Okay, so the stinger was that like the Avengers took the trademark and all that, and Sam Wilson's doing something. So there is that rumor that Sam has a team that he's calling the Avengers.
Correct.
And we've seen like who's supposed to be on that team and everything. So I'm sure there's going to be, Doomsday is going to start with those two teams clashing in some way. So I'm sure we'll see both. And one of the big rumors there is that She-Hulk returns as part of the Avengers in that. So there's a lot they could do with the Avengers stuff. I'm kind of just excited to get into Doomsday, see Downey as that character, see what it is. But at the end of the day, right now, my focus is solely on July, where I can finally get to see Superman and Fantastic Four. And that's really going to give me let me know what the future of both of these extended universes are.
Yeah, I mean, and it's all speculative, and I'm going to go speculative. Let's do it for a second, because that's what I love about talking to you. Can you imagine the theory that probably you believe is the ending and I believe is the ending? Reed Richards flees from his Earth to come to our Earth.
Mm-hmm.
It would be the first superhero movie where they lose. If we're right.
So yeah, we're thinking the same thing. My thought is the Fantastic Four first steps is that Galactus eats that planet.
Which would be wild.
Yeah.
A superhero world where they lose to start it off. Yeah. Man, that sounds awesome. Like it really does.
Which also gives Marvel a chance to have its cake and eat it too, by having their Silver Surfer in that movie. and then reintroducing Silver Surfer down the line as Norrin Rad.
Yeah, and I'm not convinced that Doom is Robert Downey Jr. 100%. I think real Doom is pretending to be that until a big reveal.
I think this is a multiverse thing. That's a Doom from another world that Tony Stark becomes Doom. Sure. And then we will get a proper Doom when the when the reboot, quote, air quotes everybody, happens down the line.
Right. We'll see.
After Secret Wars. So, but yeah, we'll have to see. But yeah, I'm excited for all this stuff. I'm still in on all the MCU stuff.
Are they getting rid of, and are they gonna, which I think would be cool, by the way, get rid of incursions, from what we know, and make it Galactus being the threat? Like Galactus is the incursions?
Possibly. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah.
I do think that after Secret Wars, they're going to tidy up. They're going to Crisis on Infinite Earths this thing and cut off the multiverse after that. I do think that's going to be a thing.
Yeah, I think that they shot themselves in the foot with the multiverse. I am really happy, though, that even though they've pivoted to Doom, that Kang has redeemed his name, that he can be used as part of the plot. Like, you can film him, he's not canceled, all that stuff. Because I think we'll see Kane, and we'll be able to at least get an ending to that story where it did not look like where Ant-Man. And to be fair, like, if Ant-Man can beat him, like, is he really a threat to the rest of the universe? Like,
I hope that this means that down the line they can do something with Kang, because I haven't been looking into that story that much, so I'm going to take your word on he's been redeemed. I really like that guy as an actor. I think he's fucking wickedly talented.
Yeah.
And I just like Kang as a character, so I was disappointed on multiple personal fronts that all went down. And we had to have this switch, but...
Well, I think what we're going to see, again, we're going to be speculating, because this is what we're doing. I think Loki's going to be the big deal. Loki forms the Avengers. That's what Loki does. He did it in our universe, and he's going to form the whatever the multiverse Avengers is going to be. That's going to fight the big bad. I think it's going to be Loki putting that team together, because he's doing the strings and the multiverse and all that.
All right, let's talk about some Star Wars. While promoting Poker Face Season 2, director Rian Johnson was asked about his announced and long-delayed Star Wars trilogy, and he had this to say about what happened. What happened? Knives Out. I mean, I kind of went down the murder mystery rabbit hole. I'm focused on making other stuff. But that wouldn't rule out it happening down the line. If I get back in the Star Wars universe someday, I'd be the happiest person. What do you think?
Good for him. And I'm not even a hater of that movie. Like I'm a hater of Disney as a whole for what they did to Star Wars. Like, George Lucas has a formula. He designs 3 movies and plays them together. You decided to get 3 different people to write whatever. Just you gotta pay attention to that continuity. It's your fault that it was bad, Disney. It's not the director's fault or anything. That movie is okay by itself, I guess.
I'm a defender of The Last Jedi. I think that yes, you're right. They should have been more. They should have thought a way to bring these 3 movies together before they started filming anything.
Right.
That said, when that movie came out, I think the reason it got so much hate is because it was Rian Johnson saying, like, we're not doing the typical Star Wars thing anymore, and we're moving on from it. And moving on from the Skywalkers, which is something I've asked for from Star Wars movies in particular for a long time. I think that's one of the best of those 3 movies. And there is a world where they follow that direction with Rian Johnson, and people aren't whiny on the internet. And we have a better, whatever that was, 9th Star Wars movie, as opposed to the whatever we got there.
Yeah, I mean,
he's a talented director. He's done a lot of good stuff. I would like to see him do more Star Wars stuff. But as I said in the show in the past, I put almost 0 stock in any Star Wars announcements these days that are live action and or movies, because there's more misses than hits at this point. And by that, I mean, More stuff just doesn't happen than does. Right. So I'd love to see him come back. I'd love to see him do a trilogy, do something, but I don't think that it's ever going to happen.
Yeah, I'm a defender with you. I mean, I don't like the spy section of it. Like, that's my only problem with that particular movie. It just didn't make sense. But everything else about it, like, that is a process of Luke. I know you guys read the novels. I get it. I get it. You read it. There's no Mara Jade. I get it. I'm sorry. There's no Thrawn. Like, I get it. I understand you're sad. But the most Jedi thing a Jedi can do is fight without fighting. That's the Jedi way. That is what Yoda taught you. This is what you've been taught this your whole life, to avoid conflict but solving the problem. He did the most Jedi thing. Luke died the way he should have died. It was fine. And I get why you're upset. I get it, but I think it was pretty epic. Yeah. And what's positive is we live in a world where CGI is so possible. We've seen Luke since then in The Mandalorian. You know, you've got to see Luke. You're going to get to see Luke be a badass, because I don't think they're going to forget about that. I think we're going to see far more of that. And I think eventually they're going to commit Sebastian Stan to do it, because there's no reason not to have.
They have to.
There's just not. Mark Hamill's okay with it. He's okay. Like, come on, we got everything we need.
Yeah, do that show. And set it during the Mandalorian timeline. Like, add it into that whole thing. Get those guys in charge of it. It'll be great.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he's in the Mandalorian, like, movie. Wasn't that the movie?
The Mandalorian Grogu?
Yeah. It's a stupid name for a fucking movie.
Yep.
Can't it be like the Mandalorian Wars or some battle or attack on? Like, come on, give us something cool, not this guy you like with his baby. 3 men and a baby in space.
But it's Pedro Pascal. All right. What we're really here to talk about, though, let's talk about some comics.
Yeah.
Start where we always start, with the best publisher in the business. Marvel Comics announced the return of Thor with a new #1, and the title will simply be titled Thor. It'll be written by Al Ewing with art by Pascal Ferry. The legend begins. What's that?
Not Pedro Pascal. He's not
Pedro
doing
Pascal,
that too.
No. One thing he's not in.
Can you imagine that? He's just like a great artist too.
The legend begins. The Norse myths tell of gods who walk the earth, doing great deeds for the mortals who believe in them. But Asgard isn't real and never was. The gods never soared in our skies, never stood with our heroes, never fought for kindness or justice. It was all just a story. Nobody's coming to help us, but somewhere in the city, a man is waking up. A man with a hammer. Are you reading the current Thor? The Immortal Thor?
I dropped it. And it's unfair to drop it, to be honest. I didn't really give Al Ewing a credit. I was so frustrated with the Donny Cates stuff, and then some people half-assing, like, finishing off some of his stories.
Mm-hmm.
And I just got burned out of the whole thing, because, you know, that Donald Blake thing, like, I love the whole art, but that Donald Blake thing was like, oh my God, this is a great fucking idea. Why has no one thought about this before? So I never really gave it a garbage. I should buy it in trade, but I haven't. Are you?
I got about 4 or 5 issues in and dropped it. I've never been the biggest Al Ewing guy. Obviously, Immortal Hulk, other things he's done are really great, but this didn't jive with me. And I remember when they announced the death of Thor, and I believe on the show I said he'll be back in like 3 months, because it was a 3-issue series, and he'll be back with a new #1 because you're not killing off Thor. And I was right, but this direction seems strange. But I mean, a lot of people like Al Ewing. The book's been doing really well. We'll see what he has. I'm probably not going to be there for it because I have too many books as is that I'm reading. Maybe down the line I will. And also, I agree with you. Like, this followed 2 of my favorite Thor runs. One that didn't get to finish because of Donnie's unfortunate accident.
Right.
But then also Jason Aaron's run, which was like my favorite Thor thing that I can remember ever reading. So,
and to be honest, this sounds very similar, and we haven't read it yet, but it sounds very similar to what J. Max did when he started. Remember, all the gods got resurrected, and they were in new bodies, and blah blah blah. We've seen it. I'm not excited about seeing it again, and it may not be that, but that description you just described sounds like what we already saw.
Yeah, and these descriptions all come straight from the publisher, so that's their fault if it is being misinterpreted in any way. But yeah, not too crazy about this. I think there's other things that sound better to me, but hopefully it's good for all the Thor. People are enjoying Thor right now. All right, Marvel also announced a new Punisher series is coming out, and it is a red band comic. This series will be written by Benjamin Percy with art by Julius Ota. Frank is back. Reread and reload, true believers. Frank Castle is back. With no memories, a full clip, and a thirst for wrathful vengeance, his violent search for answers could only be chronicled in a red band series. Bullets will fly, blood will flow, and citizens and criminals of New York City alike will fear the name The Punisher. You sent this to me. It actually was announced like minutes after I finished writing the show. Are you a Punisher guy?
I am a Punisher guy. Whatever you got was not. So the funniest thing for me of the announcement was from the creators of Wolverine. Like that's what Benjamin Percy should be known for. I was like, Jesus Christ! Oh, come on.
Yep, from the superstar Wolverine creative team, Benjamin Percy and Julius Ota. Yep, it's in here.
Yeah, no one should brag about Wolverine. I apologize, Benjamin Percy, if you're listening, and that's your gift to the world that I'm not aware. But Wolverine is not what we're looking for ever. I'm actually very disappointed in this return. Partly because Pepos was my friend and he did a 5-issue, and then we did an Elektra 5-issue, and we barely know that character.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of it. The other part is Jason Aaron put Punisher in such a good spot to be shelved for a long time.
Okay.
Like they put him in a good spot, like to shelve him. Like, hey, you brought your wife back, didn't work out. You're going to protect kids in this with Man-Thing, like this weird, cool thing that we can explore later on. That would have been a really cool in another book appearance, right? Somebody else is doing a book and Punisher is found with Man-Thing and a bunch of children. Like that's a vibe that I'm cool with, and him protecting that. I just feel like Jason Aaron shelved him really well, and bringing him back this soon is kind of dishonoring. It's kind of like when they did the Angel thing, and Garth Ennis brings him back and he kills the Angel in a panel.
I thought Jason Aaron was given an impossible task with that book because I read it out of morbid curiosity, but was not a fan of it. But I do agree with you. I liked where they placed him at the end, and I thought there was a cool book to be told for that,
right? While
you explored something else. And I liked what David did with his new Punisher. I even liked when he showed up in that Elektra Daredevil book. But yeah, they've done nothing with him. And they spent, from talking with David, they spent a lot of time creating this character. Like, not just David and his creative team, but Marvel proper spent a lot of time and effort on making this new Punisher. So it is confusing they don't do something with them. But I think this has a lot to do with that fun word synergy, where they have a Punisher thing coming out in live action, so they need a Frank Castle Punisher thing. And I actually would like to read from the Bleeding Cool article that I linked at the bottom, because it's going to say a lot about what this book is, and it's going to dive into a lot of political issues. So I guess everybody fast forward 10 minutes if you want to skip a somewhat political conversation here. But
isn't it crazy though that Punisher is a political character now?
I think this is something that it depends how they handle it, but it's something that I think they've needed to do for a long time with this character, and Marvel's been too scared to do. So here, I'm reading this straight out of the Bleeding Cool article. Anybody wants to go on bleedingcool.com and see what they wrote. This is where it is. The Punisher skull logo has been a bit of a problem for Marvel for years now, being used by police, army, militia, white supremacist groups, QAnon events, and Hannity on Fox News. I didn't know that's funny. Without suggestion that there may be some irony to that. The character's co-creator, Jerry Conaway, has spoken out about its use by such groups and has tried to reclaim it. He started his own line of t-shirts to take the symbol back, with proceeds going to Black Lives Matter. Marvel Comics has fought him in court because of this, blah, blah, blah. And then...
Do you know about that? Because I know about that first.
Yes. Then the Punisher skull logo was spotted several times on backpacks and taken to Capitol riots on January 6th, blah, blah, blah. Marvel ran a Punisher series that letting him to the hand, all this. And they plan on addressing some of these issues in the upcoming series. So, I'd say they've needed to address the logo being used in real life for a long time. And they need to put on their big boy pants and realize that we can have adult political conversations inside of comics. They just need to be handled correctly by a writer that can do that. I don't know if Benjamin Percy is the guy to do it, but we'll see.
He's Canadian. He gets a pass. He's fine. He's not in the American zeitgeist.
I'm not even saying that. I just think his work is of a certain flow. He does a lot of action and look at this. It's really cool stuff.
He should be writing Punisher, right?
Which is good for Punisher. I've never seen where he's gone after any kind of real life hard political issues.
Right.
Anyway, so we will see.
I think it's though I don't like it being, used by those groups, I do think as a narrative fictional character, it gives him a lot. Mm-hmm. And the Punisher needs something, right? Because his agenda is I kill my rogues gallery. I don't get a rogue gallery. I kill them. That's what I do. You know, and then you get really nuances, which is crazy. I remember Civil War and Punisher being part of it and being so excited because he never is part of any of those events. Infinity Gauntlets or any of that. He never gets to be part of it. I was like, oh shit, he's got to be part of it. And then he starts blasting people away. I was like, oh yeah, that's why he's not part of these things. Because he does these things.
It's not a good series, but I think my favorite Punisher in an event moment was Original Sin. When he goes with Doctor Strange to that other plane.
Yeah.
And Strange is like, you can't kill things. And he's like, I'm the Punisher. He goes, yeah, but I'm going to give you fancy magic guns that don't kill things. So you can still use guns. And he's like, okay. And it's this whole sequence of him with machine guns in both hands, but they're orange. So they're obviously magic. And they're not killing anybody, Travis. I thought that was hilarious. But yeah, I mean, we talked earlier. They got it. They're going to do something with the show, the movie, whatever we're calling it. Discussing these issues. I think it's important that they do it in the comic. I'll probably be back for this out of morbid curiosity more than anything, because I think my favorite Frank Castle, I know we've had this conversation in the past personally, but my favorite Frank Castle is when they get weird with them. So I like when they made Franken Castle and Angel Castle and War Machine Castle. I think the traditional Frank Castle gets stale for me personally in a comic.
Right.
But yeah, I think there's also a lot of
he never succeeds, right? He never, even the 2-bit villains, they never let him. Punisher should have a higher, what Marvel should always do, because I think, and maybe it's changed over the years, but Bullseye had the highest superhero token.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of them are back now, but for a while he was the highest. Punisher should be higher than that for villains. Like that should be the gauge.
It's hard when, his whole thing is kill the bad guy. Right. I think it's a reason why, let's say, something like Batman is so insistent on don't kill the bad guy.
Right. Because
we can keep going back to story, and re-exploring characters and reimagining characters, as opposed to, nope, bang, they're dead. There's a fun in that, there's an action in that, and there's something for the movies for that. But I think in a comic it gets kind of stale when you get 60 issues into a series. I'm like, what is being said here? What are we doing with Frank Castle? But yeah, I'll be there for it. I like these Red Band books too, because a little more adult, a little more blood, a little more fun.
And like you said, this is Benjamin Percy book all the way, 100%.
So
From Ghost Rider to Wolverine. He does the Predator series. Like he does action punching, like and kicking and shooting.
So my only question is just how he handles the true stories here. But we'll see.
And the other thing that I give him credit to is he creates a lot of new characters, and the Punisher always needs new antagonists. So that's good. So if you can give a good one, that's why Jigsaw's worked so well for so many years, because he was a good antagonist. You can chop him up a lot, and you can keep him put back together, and he semi looks the same.
Moving on to DC Comics. DC Comics has announced 6 new series are coming to their webcomics platform, DC Go, starting in July. So we'll go through this one by one. We have Warriors and We Wonders from Stephanie Phillips, Jane Picca, and Emily Pearson. What happens when an island of powerful, immortal Amazons is tasked with raising a baby? In this charming slice of life comedy, fierce warriors find themselves tactically outmaneuvered by a tiny princess whose emerging magical abilities cause delightful chaos, with melding Olympian gods watching from above and little Diana causing havoc below. The Amazons devise their greatest battle strategy yet, the We Wonder Warriors rotation system. But on Themyscira, it truly takes an island to raise a child. Sounds like a webcomic.
Right.
I think these all do. If you want, I'll just go through all of them, then we can kind of dissect what we want to. But I think these are out of both of our wheelhouses. I like this title. Aquaman, Yo Ho, Hold On to Your Hook, from Josh Trujillo, Nikki Lalepi, Andrew Drillin, and Bradley Clayton. Jackson High is a pirate, a warrior, and a hero. But the DC, he is known only as Aquaman. It is a madcap oceanic adventure as Jackson, Hiya, and Dolphin search for the hook of the legendary King Arthur. Glory awaits this motley crew if they can just survive the reimagined heroes and villains they meet along the way. John Kent, This Internship is My Kryptonite, from Sam Camp, Damon Hampton, Sarji, and CM Cameron. Normally Mike does this part, everybody, if you don't know, so I'm not used to talking this much. John Kent is a superpowered hero in his own right, but how do those powers help him move beyond the mundane coffee orders, endless search, and educational experience Daily Planet reporting staff deems necessary for these essential college credits? Especially when your mother is editor-in-chief. Hello, nepotism concerns. What's more, his best friend thinks the internship is a waste of time and talent. His boyfriend tries to be supportive, but is wary of John's new boss's Superman obsession. And naturally, his parents think this is a great opportunity, but life as a superhero, daylighting as a reporter, is a little different today than it was back then.
Clearly, Sam Camp is not related to Alex DeCamp, because that sounds like and then this happened, and then this happens, and then this happens.
All right, we got 3 more. Taste of Justice from Andrew Aiden Dominique, Domo Stanton, Enike, and Nick Filardi. Dig into the DC Universe's superheroes and supervillains. Cook, eat, and even bring the Justice League's offer gatherings. From the street food of Gotham City to the... I'm bad at reading. Cuisine of
the mascara, from the dishes of Atlantis to the stratosphere of outer space. There is something on the menu for everyone.
There you go. Good looking out. My Little Warlord from Nina Gee, Madeline Mirjam, and Chi No. USAF pilot Travis Morgan finds himself stranded on a remote island and sets off with one mission: survive long enough to find a way home. But there's something off about this island. Join Travis as he battles the worst the wilderness has to throw at him: dehydration, dysentery, and dinosaurs? Yes, Travis has landed on an island filled with creatures most foul, and he alone must learn how to become the warlord of Skatartis. If only he wasn't so adorable. The Magical Mysteries of Shazam from Steve Orlando and Gio Pota.
Hey, someone we know.
Listen to this show, no Stephanie Phillips as well, but that one's.
Was Stephanie? Did you say Stephanie?
Yeah, she was the first one. The Wii Warriors of Themyscira thing. Billy Batson has had to grow up fast. Life with Tawny, the talking tiger, and also Billy's adoptive uncle is humble. It's not always easy. Billy lives with Tawny's other foster children, Darla, Pedro, and Freddie. Despite all he's been through, Billy is willingly hopeful in addition to all the struggles a blended foster family faces. Fawcett City isn't exactly the safest place to live. It might be a fantastic, whimsical city full of both humans and talking animals, but it's also got a monster problem. In fact, a monster society. Soon, Billy is granted the ability to say a magic word and transform into the mighty hero. Fawcett City cheers its new champion, and little do they know he's one of their own. Or do they? Because Billy's siblings are pretty sure they saw him turn into a fully grown superhero. And then just to end, previous series that were part of this initiative, Harley Quinn in Paradise and Nothing But Nightwing with 2 T's, have also been renewed for another series. Anything here for you?
No, I have zero interest in any of these books.
Yeah, not a webcomic guy. I think it's important that DC and Marvel attack the webcomic crowd. It's a way to get people into their universes and into their characters and build a new fan base, but not for me at the end of the day. The only thing I'll say is they claim DC Go, these are webcomics, just like Marvel did back in the day. These are for webcomic consumption, blah, blah. We're not printing these. These will all be printed down the line. So if you are a print fan, just wait a little bit.
I'm going to correct them a little bit. They won't all be printed. Steve Orlando and Stephanie Phillips one.
Yeah. I'll say the only one that could be good, because I like when they do this in manga, is the Taste of Justice. I like a cooking food comic. All the rest of them kind of sound blah to me. Let's move on to Dark Horse. It was announced
because Shazam doesn't have a series right now.
Yes, which is a little upsetting, but at the same time, I wasn't enjoying the direction they were going with the new creator. So, catch-22. Dark Horse announced a new series continuing the Orphan Mo story called Orphan and the Five Beasts, Bath of Blood from writer-artist Stoko. Orphan Mo is back after having dispatched 2 of the 5 beasts tasked to her by her late master. The hunt begins for the 3rd, but Mo isn't the only one following the trail, as a whole new cast of eccentric and dangerous players arrive to join the fray. Have you ever read an Orphan Mo book before? Because I have not.
I don't even know anything about this book of existence. Actually, Dark Horse is probably one of my weakest in my comic realm. I don't read a lot of Dark Horse.
I am, about the same. There's a few Dark Horse books I've picked up over the years. Obviously, something on Umbrella Academy is one of my favorite books of all time. So that's there. I read
some Hellboy. I read a lot of it now because I was until recently. Vatican City turned me off, but Mark Millar, I was reading all that. Vatican City is probably the worst comic I've read in my entire life. I said it, guys. Yeah, I know he's an indie guy. Yeah, what? Come at me, bro.
I'd love to talk to you more about that. I'll say this is something that Mike would really enjoy. It's described as a kung fu comic. So if you're a kung fu person that likes kung fu fantasy, that's what this seems to be. I tried looking up what it was, and I see that it has somewhat of a history. There's been a few series of the Orphan Mo, but it's something I've never heard of until this week. So probably not for me, but it's there. Something
until
that might be.
Until he fights a rabbit that I know Usagi Yojimbo, I'm not interested.
Exactly. A book that might be for me. Dark Horse announced a new series called The Adventures of Lumen N from writer James Robinson, artist Phil Hester. The year is
you need to say more? What else do you need to say? That's it.
Yes.
If you don't know those 2 names and those 2 names together, you're not reading enough comics.
And it's been exciting because James Robinson, a guy who's been kind of quiet over the past, say, decade.
Yeah.
And is coming back out with a bunch of stuff. So I'm really excited to see him back on the scene.
Yeah, he was, the last time we saw him heavily was, It wasn't Starman, wasn't it? What was the New 52 Return to Starman universe? What was that book?
Oh yeah.
I mean, it had a 2-year run. It was solid. I bought it too.
Yeah, so did I. James Robinson's New 52 Earth 2. He did the Earth 2 book.
No,
but then it was taken over by.
He did that, but he did a Starman thing. Midnight or Nightmare or what was it? Why don't you read the description? I'll find it.
Keeps coming up with, you find it. I'm used to that being my job. The year is 1901, and our heroine, Lumen, is a precious 13-year-old with many questions about her life. Why was her father gone for years? Why must she learn so many languages and fighting techniques? And what's with all the lessons in seafaring? Then, an attack on her home by a horde of steampunk assassins delivers the first glimmer of an answer. When Lumen's savior reveals herself as her grandfather, the legendary Captain Nemo, one of the greatest characters in Victorian science fiction literature. A brand new world of steampunk adventure and thrills is about to open for Lumen as she connects with her grandfather she never knew, while together they take on the cabal of evil masterminds intent on world domination. Did you find it?
Yeah, I mean, that book's going to be great. I mean, it's perfect.
It's funny to me that last week we were talking about Aquaman number 4 or 5, in which Captain Nemo pops up, and how we were really enjoying it. And I was reading a lot this week about Captain Nemo because he had reappeared in my life, and I was interested in remembering this character more. And now a book that sounds really interesting with James Robinson writing and Phil Hester drawing is about basically Captain Nemo. I think it's a funny connection over the past week. But yeah, the book sounds awesome. It has a really cool cover, as every Dark Horse comic does, because they do Hellboy-esque covers for everything. But yeah, I think it's a cool sounding series.
Yeah, it's going to be good. That book was The Shade, by the way.
That's right. The Shade.
And it was less. I thought it was 2 years. It was 12 issues. It probably took 2 years to come out.
12 issues. Tying into the next thing we're going to talk about, apparently that means it's an ongoing series.
All right.
I'll elaborate in a minute. Dark Horse Comics has announced the return and celebration of the 25th anniversary of Powers with a new 12-issue series that they put on their website as an ongoing 12-issue series titled Powers 25. Of course, the title will be written by Brian Michael Bendis with art by Michael Avon Oeming, but will feature variant covers from artists like Mike Mignola, Stan Sakai, Eric Powell, Jill Thompson, and many more. In a world where superheroes soar through the sky, follow detectives and crime fighters on the dirty city streets below. Assigned to the Powers special cases, they face the worst their city has to offer. This new tale is a fun, dangerous adult look at the world of heroes through the eyes of Special Homicide Officer Detective Cutter and his brand new partner in the first power to ever make the Powers division, Mobius Moon. Under the watchful eyes of legendary Captain Dina, Pilgrim, and Aniki Sunrise, the new detectives run through the minefield of all new dangers. A new unsolvable Powers murder has Cutter and Moon questioning everything about the world and their place in it. I know you're a big Bendis guy. Are you a Powers guy?
I am a Powers guy. I didn't finish it. I need to go back and finish it. When they became monkeys, it was a whole thing. I kind of bowed out for a little bit. So I never finished it. So I don't know the ending of Powers. But I've been wanting to support Brian Michael Bendis for a little bit. I keep trying things. Like the last one I tried was Mastermind. And then I tried another one. I can't think of the name of it. And they were okay. They were great. I read them all the way through. But I want to support Brian Michael Bendis. I like his advocacy right now. I'm not working for Marvel or DC because they're not being fair to Brady. Mm-hmm. Like he's been spouting that if you listen to interviews in the last few years. Like I want to support that, because I think that he does it in a way where he's like, I'm not saying other people shouldn't do that. I'm not saying they're horrible companies. I'm not saying I'm not grateful, but I'm not going to do it anymore. I don't need to anymore. Let me do the thing. Probably because DC doesn't want them back, but that's neither here or that. But yeah, I'm all in. I'm gonna get it. I'll get all 12, and I'll jump back on for a little bit.
On this show, I mean, this isn't unique to us, but on this show we have what we call a shame list. Powers is on my shame list. I've never read it.
Okay.
And it's a very crisp book. I know. I actually do own, when Dark Horse started reprinting them in the big, it's like, I think it's 12 or 15 issues per trade. Yeah. I have the first volume of it, so it's sitting in my closet waiting for me to read. I would like to get into it, just haven't yet. But I'm excited to see it back because I know a lot of people love this series. I love Oming's art, and I've been a big fan of Bendis for a long time. But like you said, a lot of his Dark Horse stuff has not hit with me.
Yeah, I've tried a few of it. They're all very well written. It's just certain writers, once you've seen their pattern, you've seen it enough times, it somehow it takes you a little bit to like not feel like you've read the same story before.
Yeah.
And I mean, I just think it's age. I think it's perspective, things like that. Mark Waid's a lot like that for me, where I read a Mark Waid book and everyone's like, oh my God, they're amazing. And I was like, yes, but I saw this in Kingdom Come, or I saw this here, or I saw it in Capcom. They're all very well written. He's one of the greatest writers of the world. And I think, especially when we talk about Waid, he's very good at making sure that he's up to date. Like he's not one of those guys who will come back like a Claremont and still referencing what happened, when he was writing back in the day. It's all new and modern. Yeah.
Unless it's Kingdom Come, because he wants to reference that every time he comes back.
I mean, because that's the ending of the DC universe, right? Like it's all going to lead to that. It's still somehow going to lead there.
Yeah.
Speaking of Superman this week, but we're not there yet, right?
I kind of know what you're talking about with that. That could be it. But I just think there's something about his Dark Horse stuff that's just not connecting, and maybe we'll see. This will bring him back to those good old days of Icon Comics. Everybody remembers that.
I think Bendis has something to say, but I don't think what he's saying is what I want to hear right now. Like he's speaking to a group of people with a clear vision, like Scarlet and all these things have a voice to it, and he's trying to say something. It's just not where I'm at, either politically or socially or whatever the case to be. But there was a time in my life where Bendis was speaking to me socially and politically, from Goldfish and Jinx. There was political messages in there too that really.
Yeah, I understand that. Final Dark Horse news, and I know Travis is excited about this one. Dark Horse Comics finally announced the first comic included with their renewed partnership with Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast. That comic will be a 4-issue series titled Magic the Gathering, Untold Stories, Elspeth, from writer Dan Waters and artist Owen Genie. Elspeth is dead, but her story is not over yet. The sun god Helio, having grown envious of his champion, struck her down to the underworld. There, she is forced to relive the worst moments of her life for all of eternity, but Elspeth does not submit to desire. She emerges from each conflict a greater hero than before, and for a great hero like Elspeth, what is death but another challenge to over? Scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you?
Dan Waters is super hot right now, like super hot, which is crazy because his last name's Waters.
I'm excited, but I'm also disappointed, and I'll start with excited. I'm excited because, like you said, Dan Waters doing great stuff right now. We're going to talk about Batman Dark Patterns later. Love that book. Just love what he's doing all around. Excited that Magic Gathering is back in comics and we'll see something. The disappointment comes, I thought that Jed MacKay took Magic in a direction that could be told in an ongoing series way, where he followed a cast of characters through events and didn't compromise for that, whatever it was, 20, 30 issues, that's your cast of characters, and we're going to follow them through an adventure through this world. I thought when Dark Horse originally had Magic, one of the issues with it, much like with Dungeons and Dragons, is that they wanted to follow either a singular character for a short story in the universe or a place and time for a short story, and it didn't feel as connected as it could. I think these are cool books to do when you have an ongoing or a couple ongoings that build your world, and then these are side stories off of that world. But I'll probably be here to check it out and see what they're going to do, because I do like Dan Waters and I do like Magic the Gathering.
Now, because I don't know, Richard Dueck finished it, the Magic series, right?
Yes.
And there's been nothing from then to now?
Correct.
Okay.
It ended, and then the IP went over to Dark Horse along with Dungeons and Dragons, and there's been this gap ever since. I think it's been a year, 2 years. Yeah.
Okay.
Unless you count the manga that has been coming out, which isn't really a Magic the Gathering manga. Mad Cave Studios, a show favorite, announced a new series titled Red Vector from writers Tim Daniel and David D.B. Audrey, with artist Chris Evanhos. I'm bad with names, Travis. Cora Martinez has seen her fair share of conflict. As Sonora Desert Park Ranger, she straddles the line between sheltering desperate immigrants and steering others away from an uncertain fate. She longs for a place where disputes such as these no longer exist. But a clash far bigger than any on Earth is about to rip the heavens apart and crash land onto her doorstep. With the arrival of two opposing combatants in an alien civil war through a rift in space, the earthbound space opera from the creators of Morningstar and Crushing Deaths begins. What do you think about this one?
I've actually been meaning to ask the writer about it. So I know David, I'm liking Crush G, but he keeps co-writing with all these people, and I want to kind of figure out what that's all about. David Aubrey, I don't know what's that about. So I read everything David Aubrey, and I've enjoyed it all. So I'll definitely read it. I'm excited about it. I'm a little bit more excited about it. I don't see it in your news, but John Lee's just announced a Mad Cave book. It didn't make the Bleeding Cools or all that. He announced it. So that's my more exciting Mad Cave. Sorry, David, if you're listening. I love you. You're in my Discord. I heart you. Red Velvet all the way, but.
Is this Ghost Box?
What's what? John Lee's book?
No, it's a different book. They just announced today. Look at that.
John Lee has a new book announced today?
No, Mad Cave has a new book they just announced today.
No. John Lee's book is, I probably have to send it to you. I think he may have only announced it in his Discord or whatever.
Okay. Well, I'll say about this one, I think I read a lot of what Mad Cave's doing. Right. Because we get review copies for free, so that's one good reason to read a lot of what they do. I know Mike was a big fan of Morningstar, and I believe Crush Depth as well, so I'll definitely be sending this his way to check out. I'm a big sci-fi fan. I think one of my concerns is when something is happening so rampantly in the news today, where I'm inundated with it on a regular basis, I'm not the type who wants to go to my escapism for it. So I will see after the first issue how much of this, because they take a lot of time in the description to talk about immigration and other things. They're obviously a big conversation today. I will see how much of that is in the book and how far away from it I can get while reading it. But that is my concern there, is that I can't turn on the social media or TV without hearing about this subject. So for me personally, in this moment in time, that's not something I want in my escapism. Not to say it doesn't deserve to be there. Just for me personally, that's where I stand with it.
Yeah, it's a tough balancing act, right? One of the greatest things about comics is we can put stories about stuff pretty fast compared to any other media. You can't do a movie, you can't do a TV show and really address those things fast, where comics can. A new comic could be out, solicited and pitched and be out within 4 months. So I think that's a blessing, but it's also a curse too, right? Because we're now in the midst of it. We don't know how we feel about it. We don't know. Well, I think we know how we feel about it. We don't know the end result of everything, right? We don't know how bad it's going to get or how good, and that could change within the next 4 months. Of what that stuff is. So yeah. I mean, immigration is like the scariest word in the world, right? It's used since we've been born. It has been one of the deciding factors of elections, one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see it. But David's it's good. He tries to see. I don't know how he leans politically, so I mean that's a good stance. He's not a guy who I know where he stands politically, even though I've read a lot of his writing, so that's good.
Yeah. Like I always say with the description of some of these, I have to take them at what they are. So if it's not something I'm feeling in the moment, especially in a political nature or in just a news nature, it does make me take a step back, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm against the book or don't like the book or something. It just might be in this moment right here, right now. It's not what I want in that media. Or sometimes the description they give is nothing like what the book ends up being. I think of that Sesame Street book that was like at Dark Horse, actually, that ended up being like a very leftist revolutionary book.
Right.
And like, I'm not going to say anything about the politics. I just thought I was getting like a look at these Sesame Street characters doing in a crazy situation. And so when I read that book, I'm like, this is not what I wanted out of this book in this moment. I have to come back to it a different time. So,
well, especially as someone, I think last time we talked, you decided you weren't a Cap fan, but as someone who reads Captain America on the regular, it is political, and the writer of that has a view of America, and it's tough. I think Captain America is the hardest book to write in all of comics.
Yeah,
I really do, because unless it's just punching Nazis, which is universally accepted on the left and right, like it's okay, any other thing you do, like it's questions.
Yeah, that's why World War II Captain America is my favorite, because it's an easy story.
Right.
Good guy, bad guy.
Exactly.
So IDW Publishing has announced a new addition to their TMNT line, properly titled Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Casey Jones. This will be written by Alex. How do you pronounce Alex's last name? Because I know you're friends with him.
Surgery, I think.
It's Paknadel.
Oh, it's a Pelvo. The what's his name? The other Alex.
Yeah. Paknadel. I'm sorry if I butchered that.
Yeah.
With art by Imanse Nahelpen. Once again, terrible names, everybody. That's why Mike does this part. Now recovering. Oh, this is also going to be spoilers for the regular TMNT book, everybody, in the description, so you've been warned. Now recovering after being shot within the pages of Jason Aaron and Juan Ferreira's best-selling TMNT series, Casey Jones has a second chance at life, and he's going all out. The vigilante hero's hitting the streets and doing everything he can to protect the people of New York City, but Raphael and April O'Neil are worried that he's pushing himself too hard. Things will only get worse as a new strain of mutagen starts changing the landscape of the city. An all-new, frightening villain threatens everything Casey believes in. Pretty sure you're a big Casey Jones fan. Are you reading the new TMNT line?
Yes. So, and I'm going to make this statement. I believe this with my heart, and I'll fight anybody. All right. I believe that Jason Aaron run on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is the Bret Hart of comics. Ready? It's the best it is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. I believe his Ninja Turtles is the best it's ever been, ever.
Interesting.
It's so good. I get so excited. This particular book upsets me, and the Shredder, because I always thought Ninja Turtles was an achievable goal for Travis Gibb as a writer, because I always had people who with very indie creds, and that is not the case anymore. We've got Dan Waters and we've got Alex over here, so I'm gonna have to work a little harder if I want to write Ninja Turtles. But if that's my only complaint about it, But Casey is a tough character to write in the IDW universe, because he's not just a guy who punches things. He was a member of the Foot Clan. He was a leader of the Purple Dragons and fought his abusive dad. Like, he's a hard character to write in that continuity.
And hard specifically on his own.
Yeah.
He's hard. So I think it'll be interesting to see. Yeah, like you said, it sounds like a cool creative team. I am behind on TMNT, but I have enjoyed all that I've read from it, so I'll add this to the list. But yeah, it's been cool. The TMNT line got renewed with Jason Aaron, reinvigorated with Jason Aaron, and it brought people like me who were not reading any Turtle stuff back into the fold. So yeah, take advantage of it. Put out as many books as you can. Casey Jones is a big character that people love from the movie, from the cartoon, from the comics. So why not do something with him? Yeah, it makes sense.
I think you can see it across the line of all of comics right now. Comics are getting back to kind of a 90s edge. Like everything's a little more gritty, a little more punchy, a little more violent. And I'm here for it. Like, you look at the Absolute line, you look at the Ultimate line. Like that's what they're trying to do right now. I'm here for it. I think the comics is best in that edgy place. So I'm excited. Let's get as much of it as we can.
It was some great creators behind it too. I think that was one of the things missing in the 90s was the writing was not up to par.
Correct.
And I think the saddest part about it is the person I credit with what you're saying is Donny Cates, with really pushing it forward to that point. And he's kind of not in the scene as much anymore. Allegedly he's coming back. I will hope for that, but that's my only regret with this whole moment in time we're in with these comics is he's the guy that needs to be here for it.
Yeah, we're trying to make everything needs to be a lot cooler, which I like as a whole. Like we went through a phase where everything had to say something, which again, I'm okay with that too, but I like it, and especially my Turtles. Like Sophia Campbell did a great job on her Ninja Turtles, but it wasn't the Ninja Turtles that I really enjoy. I enjoy ass-kicking ninjas. I don't enjoy as much slice of life Ninja Turtles. It's not that I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy it as much as fighting the Foot Clan and killing them and like Shredder coming back and causing issues and like that's what I love.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time. There's some books that should just be fun. They don't have to have like a bold message that you're putting out there. It can be just like, look at this action, look at this fun, look at this excitement. And that's enough for me at times. All right, a couple of quick ones from Boom, then we'll get into what we're reading. But first, Boom Studios announced a new series titled Blink and You'll Miss It from writer Ethan S. Parker and Griffith Sheridan with artist Keith Browning. Melody Nelson and Jesse Harmon fell in love a long time ago in the tiny town of Perennial Harbor. And in the years since Jesse left that place behind, it has become a living nightmare. Jesse can't stop knowing that her best friend is still trapped there, but racing back to save her will prove futile. The very fabric of reality has begun to unravel around Melody, sending her backwards in time with each passing day. Will this journey through the past hold the secret to Melody's terrible curse, or merely serve as a eulogy before she disappears from all of existence? Interesting concept.
Did you like To Kill Your Darlings? I
did not read that book, so
I didn't either, and I should have, because all right, I'm gonna put myself out there. This I'm gonna be very canceled on this. Luckily, I'm going on the cruise. I'm gonna die from I listen to them on like 3 podcasts because I listen to the Matthew Rosenberg podcast. I listen to the Bendis podcast. So I listen to Ethan Parker and all. And because they're podcast guys, and even when they did the Donny Cates one, I don't listen to it anymore because I'm more of a follower writer than artist. Stanton's great. I think
it's those two guys, the guys that do the producing for the show. Okay. Yeah, I know them.
Because of that, and me working so hard in the indie, I kind of felt they cut the line, right? They didn't. They just took a different path. They didn't cut the line in any way. But I couldn't get past that, so I never gave it a try. I mean, it was Eisner nominated. Like it got to where it needed to be, but I never gave it a try. And now that there's another one, I may give this one a try because I didn't give To Kill Your Darling.
Yeah, I'll probably give it a shot in the first issue. Like once again, this is another company that gives us review copies, so it's easy for me to jump in and at least check out a first issue without a monetary thing there. But I don't think normally it would be something for me. This, once again, sounds more like a Mike book to me, but it has enough of a twist in that description that I could see checking it out and seeing what they got. A book that is for me, though. Boom Studios announced a new one-shot comic set in the Dune universe titled Dune, Edge of a Crysknife, Raids of Shah Halud, from writers Brian Herbert and Kevin J. Anderson, with art by Andrea Scalamazzi. It's a battle of generations as Mape's son, Samos, launches a bold assault against Baron Abulard Harkonnen, son of Dimitri. To bring down the heavily fortified Harkonnen outpost, the Fremen will need a tool of unimaginable destruction. Shai Halud, the mighty sandworm. I don't think you're a Dune guy. Am I right about that?
I am not, but I do love you guys. Like, everyone I know who loves Dune is all in. And like, there's been many people who don't even read it. They're just like, these covers are so good. Like, and they'll buy it for the Dune covers that are so good. So I'm with you guys. I support it. I'm glad you guys have more Dune content.
It's one of those things. My father gave me that book when I was in like high school, and I read it and I loved it, and I fell in love with the original Dune series back in the day. And then he eventually gave me the Brian Herbert, Kevin J. Anderson novels, which is a lot of what these comics are based on. Love that stuff too. I didn't fall into the camp of, like, the Frank stuff is better, but I didn't fall into the camp of like the Frank stuff's really good and the Brian stuff sucks. I thought it was all really great. It's a lot of fun. In a cool world. I understand why it's very niche.
Right.
Because it's saying a lot of things, especially in a religious sense about the world. But seeing these movies come out, do really well, has been exciting as a fan. Seeing them do more comics, reimagining the original books as graphic novels, going back to Brian and Kevin's books and doing comics on them. I'm excited it exists. I'm enjoying the moment because I know it's not going to be here for long.
Right. And like, as a longtime comic fan, like, really, if you are into Dune, buy them now because they're really hard to get later. Like, I remember being out of Sliders. Like, I watched Sliders and I didn't know the Slider comic. I'm trying to find those old things because they don't leave people's collections.
Mm-hmm.
Like Dunes and like all these sci-fi things, or like the Labyrinth comic. Like, if you're a Labyrinth fan, they're not going to leave the collection, so buy them now. You're frozen on my screen. All right, you're back.
Yeah, he froze up there for a minute. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah. It's exciting to see it all there. And I get everything Dune. I'll be here for it. So we normally end the show with what we are reading. I know we've gone on for quite a bit because there's been a lot of news. Do you have time to talk about what you're reading?
Of course.
Okay. I'll let you start because I've been doing a lot of talking. So what books are you reading right now?
I read a bunch. I grabbed my pull list. I haven't read a lot from this week because I've just been busy with the cruise and everything. I read Amazing this week. I read Ultimate Flash. I read Moon Knight, which was freaking fantastic. That book, man, he's so good.
Love it. I'm 2 issues behind on it, though.
It's so good. I like Ultimate Flash a lot. It's probably my favorite universe besides Batman. It's Batman and then Flash for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then Superman third. I got Ultimates here and Thunderbolts Doomstrike. We're at the end there.
Let's see. I got Ultimates in mind, so we can go a little bit into Ultimates. I don't think there's much to go into because it's kind of a cleanup issue to me.
Right.
Dealing with the events of the past 6 issues and what Doom's been doing and kind of setting the stage for what's going to move forward is really what this issue is. It's all the heroes sitting in a room talking, which is important to do once in a while with your characters, especially in a long-running series, but it's not very exciting.
Well, and I love the way he's doing a superhero team-up book. I wish more people would take it. Alex DeCamp is not doing the traditional, like, I need to give everyone their spotlight every issue. We're going to take 3 or 4 characters and they're going to go do a thing, and then sometimes we'll have the whole team, but most of the time it's a few people on a mission doing a thing.
Yeah.
I feel that we've gotten away from that, and that's why, and this is a theory that I have, JLA and Avengers really don't have an amazing must-have. There's a few, like, must-haves, but, like, when you compare the amount of issues that those series have versus must-haves, it's very, very low.
Okay.
And it's because of how hard it is to put them together,
Yeah. I'm always a big fan of the team of superheroes, so just anything with JLA or Avengers in it, I'm always there for. But
no, I agree. But
yeah.
Do you agree, like, must-have in your collection, there's very few of each compared to the amount of issues of both?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, there's like 6 trades for Avengers and probably 3 for JLA. JLA is really good.
Well, that was a good issue, but don't jump in on this issue.
Right.
You'll be very confused if we jump in on this issue. Let's see. I'll just go down. Did you have something?
I was gonna do. I know that you read this, and we both read this.
I am, but I did not read that this week.
But did you talk about last week's?
Yes, that was the new Thunderbolts versus old Thunderbolts issue, right?
Yep.
Yes. So I guess I'll jump in and are you reading Bug Wars?
I am. Yeah. I didn't read this issue, but I am reading it. Yep.
So I'm really loving this book. Yeah, it's, I guess I've said it a million times, but it's like a Conan Barbarian-esque fantasy book set in your backyard. Like, and what I love about this issue, without spoiling too much, we get to see the entirety of the backyard in this. Like, it's the journey issue, and a lot of good action, a lot of good moments. Yeah, this is Jason Aaron doing some great stuff.
I think it is really good, and you can tell it's what I love about Bug Wars compared to other stuff is there's certain things that he'll go into great detail to explain, and then he'll be like, "There's a bunch of humanoid-looking creatures here. You don't need to know."
Yeah,
like I love that about it. Like he's picking and choosing, because I know that like me as a writer would really struggle with that. Like I'd want to explain all or nothing.
Yeah,
and like him doing half is just so interesting to me. And then I look at his whole run. I mean, that's a strength of his.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when he was doing Thor, he would explain parts of it, and there's other things you're seeing there going like, "What's happening over here? Don't worry about it. We're focused on the Necro sword right now. That's what you need to focus on." Right?
That's sometimes you need to like hit that ability for your fans to understand the suspension of disbelief and just be like, you have to run with this or you're not going to accept what this is.
Right.
And he's the master of that. Yeah, I agree with you. So you're reading Thunderbolts. Are you reading One World Under Doom proper?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So I didn't get to read this last week, but this is issue 4, and this is the big fight between Doom and Dormammu. And it's a good issue, but it's literally Doom being as cocky as all hell as he is, using his magic to mimic some of the Avengers. And I thought some of those moments fell flat for me personally. But the moment at the end where he realizes his only move is to bring back the Avengers, who Dormammu put in a pocket universe, to get them off the stage for this fight, I thought was a good moment. And we'll see where it lands because of the next book, which is The Superior Avengers. I don't know if you're reading that one. This is the second issue, and this is him building his Avengers team, which obviously, since you've read it, you know, and I talked about on the show, they have their own ulterior motive. Right. And in this issue, it's taking place during that pocket of time where the Avengers are gone. And they have to step up to show the public that they are the Avengers. It's going to be interesting how they clash with the traditional heroes moving down the line, because they obviously have their own thing that they're doing, but it aligns with what the heroes want to do, but it's not the way the heroes would want to do it, if that makes sense. And I thought the reveal at the end was, I don't care, but it was supposed to shock me, and I just didn't do anything for the book for me. It was a shock moment that didn't hit.
Yeah, this whole team was interesting, like, because I remember reading it specifically to figure out who the Magneto-looking character was, and I was like, oh, that's who it is? Okay, yeah. Very cool. But I kind of disagree with you on that. I think that issue of One World of Doom is going to be the standard of the series. Like, I think Doom being well written is very good, and writing it, normally we see Doom from Reed's perspective telling you how Doom felt.
Mm-hmm.
Where this is Doom like properly telling you, and I thought it was really interesting him trying to outthink Tomorrow and like, all right, so this is what Doctor Strange would do, but here's what he predicted me to do. Like, I thought it was really well written, and the dialogue really, really helped offset the visuals that we're seeing of the stuff. So it was good.
I agree with you. Like the moment where he's like, it's like the sun, but like better because I'm Doom.
Right.
Like that was a very Doom moment. I loved it. But then like however many panels later, he's like, oh, also I'm Wolverine, schnicked. I'm like, so it was that like dichotomy of the book where I'm really loving that series and I like that issue, but it has moments in it where I'm like, I don't know, just fell flat for me. while
the
having
greatest,
great moments. So
yeah. The greatest dooms are when he wins and then realizes that he doesn't really want to win. When he had Earth 2, when he won, he got the Earth and he was like, oh, that's not cool.
Are you reading Godzilla vs. X-Men or any of the Godzilla vs. books?
I read Spider-Man.
Okay. What do you think of Spider-Man?
I was so upset with what's the Nick, the editor Nick. I always get the editor Nick wrong with Nick Spencer. I always say Nick Spencer, but it's not. Nick Aaron, is that his name? Hold on. Who is the Spider-Man editor? He is right here. Come on. Nick Lowe.
Nick Lowe, yeah. I just got it.
Throughout this book, it's basically the editor having notes throughout the whole thing, and that annoyed the shit out of me. Like, I get it. You're excited that Spider-Man and Godzilla are fighting, but you didn't hire yourself to write the book if you want to write the book, bro. And all of them are lies. It's never verses. It's kind of like, how can we get along with Godzilla? Like, from the ones that I've read.
So I've read all of them, and then I'll talk a little about this one. I feel like it's that traditional superhero versus, though. They fight a little bit at the beginning, then they have to team up to fight the bigger bad.
Right.
So it's using that traditional style. What I've noticed up until X-Men, so I think Spider-Man was the last one up until this, but it was that formula of they fight, they have to get along, and then the superhero somehow gives their power to Godzilla to fight off the big bad. X-Men breaks that formula, and it's Fabian Nicieza writing it.
I should read it then. I love old Fabian.
And it is set in the 90s with that 90s X-Men team. So everybody knows I'm not a big X-Men fan, but I do enjoy Gambit, who plays a good role in this, and I know you're also a big Gambit fan.
Yeah.
But their whole thing that they do is they steal a super adaptoid, use pin particles to make it kaiju size, and then I'll meld mind with it to fight Godzilla, just to find out that Godzilla isn't just blatantly destroying whatever he can. He has a mission, and it's to stop this, the guy making this Sentinel that's a Sentinel that fights kaiju. That was okay, personally. Weakest of the group so far, but we'll see where it goes. I still really, anytime Godzilla pops up.
Fabian didn't create Deadpool with Rob Liefeld. He did it himself. That writer is just generic. That's what I hear.
It's probably why I clash with him as a writer, because I still hold Deadpool against him. No, I think classic X-Men fans will get more out of that issue.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's set in a time, and it's written by a guy who was there for that time. And I just thought it didn't do enough with the versus Godzilla of it all. Batman Dark Patterns, number 5, 6.
I have them, but they're in a stack.
It's my favorite Batman comic in a while. So I really recommend picking it up.
And I'm mad at Dan Waters, because though he may be doing good at Batman, his other book that he's doing is god awful.
Nightwing? That's fine, because Grant Morrison can come back. Actually, you could bring back whoever to write Nightwing, and I'm not reading it. This is the last issue.
That's fantastic. Like him overthinking like his childhood like the whole time, and the multiverse, and how he connects in the greater Robin sphere of like a Grant Morrison Nightwing sounds fantastic. It's just like a study of how he's influenced all these Robins in the past and what his responsibility is from Damian to him. Like I can see that being
you Nightwing fans can have it. I don't want anything to do with it. But Dark Patterns is my favorite Batman book out right now. This is the last issue for this storyline, and then we're going to go into case 3, which is the last case on the next issue. And this is the one with Ventriloquist. And I've been saying it's Ventriloquist with die-hard vibes to it.
Okay.
I like the way it ended. I thought it was really cool what they did. How they took the traditional Ventriloquist and moved his powers over to somebody else to create this new storyline. While the first issue was very detective centric, this focused more on his knowledge of Gotham and his ability to understand his villains as a superpower.
Is it in continuity?
I believe so, but it's not in current continuity. So I think it's like World's Finest, where yes, it's in the
the things are
timeline, but
aside. Yeah. Which, by the way, I love about DC. Like where DC, instead of making a big deal about it, they're just like, it's fine. It's no big deal. Don't make a big deal. Just don't talk about it. It's fine.
DC Cross Sonic the Hedgehog #3. Are you reading this? Okay. So in this is the issue where the Sonic team comes to the DC universe because their universe is destroyed. So they have to take the place of the DC heroes. So they're off in as you can see in the cover, like they're off in the DC heroes outfits, fighting crime. And along the way, they discover that Chaos Emeralds have come to the DC universe. So they found a way back home. So this is literally just an issue for them to make the action figures of the Sonic crew with the superheroes costumes on. And they're going to go back to Sonic universe where the Justice League is stranded to fight Darkseid in the next issue. It's pure, unadulterated fun. Awesome times if you like Sonic the Hedgehog.
I did a signing at a comic store that's a toy store, so it does vintage toys.
Uh-huh.
And they literally said, like, that's their second best-selling book.
It's a blast. It's a blast.
Sonic is #2 in their whole store because of that stuff. Their first is Ultimate Spider-Man, then it's Sonic, and then it's Absolute.
Did you read, and I hope you did, Superman Unlimited #1? I
did, because I like Dan Slott.
Okay.
But you know how much I hate Superman. And it did confirm that even Dan Slott cannot save that character.
I'm on the other side of Superman. I just think you need to have a good story and a good writer to do him. That's why I like Joshua Williamson's run. I think it's really good. This book is a tale of two. How did your
Doomsday thing end? Because last time we talked, you talked about Doomsday being a time traveler or some shenanigans.
Yeah.
Happy with the ending?
I don't think it's ended.
Oh.
So that happened, and he's pulled Doomsday away, and I'm sure he's going to reappear down the line. Yeah.
It's like the beginning of the 12 issue. Like now we're in the 6 in the middle where it looks like it's not connected, and then it all connects.
Well, and then they have the issue 25, so that's got to be the big oversized issue where something big happens.
Right.
And something did happen in that issue. And yeah, it's just he's still out there kind of figuring things out. So,
but Slott, one of the best writers in comics. Tell me, are you all in for Superman Slott?
So this is the tale of two issues for me. I think it does the thing that I hate, which is we have Superman, one of the most iconic, well-known IPs in the history of the world, outside of comics or anything. So I don't need his origin story. So stop telling it. Dan Slott spends half of this book telling Superman's history. If you want to know Superman's history, go read the books. It was a waste of space in this book, and you didn't need to do it. But he wanted to do it because he's been stuck at Marvel for so long, and he finally got a shot to do it.
And I think he wanted to show that he knew it.
Yes.
Like I think a lot of times when a writer comes on, and a writer like needs to prove that like you can trust me.
Yes, but stop. Don't do it. Just tell your story, because the story he's trying to tell outside of that, I'm kind of digging. There's a whole thing with the Daily Planet getting bought out by some big multimedia conglomerate. They're going to become basically CNN and or Jeff Bezos and with his media empire. They're going to have all these 24-hour news circuits. They're going to have newspapers all over the world. They're going to be the next big thing in news, held by a billionaire, but run by Lois Lane. So that spark was in the beginning of the issue. And then Superman's called to stop an asteroid from coming to Earth. We find out that asteroid is pure kryptonite. He somewhat fails to do it, but is able to stop its course to just land in the ocean, and that would not cause tsunamis at all, so it's fine.
Aquaman handles it from then on out. Like once it's the ocean, it's not Superman's problem anymore. That's then becomes an Aquaman issue.
Except Aquaman's in another dimension right now.
There's no Aquaman ongoing right now. We don't know how it got resolved, but if there was,
but that aside, if you
actually there is an Aquaman ongoing, I apologize.
Yeah, and he's in another dimension. Suspend your disbelief there. It lands on Earth, and there is a city-state that finds it and turns it into a resource to make them very wealthy. And now kind of like Wakanda with vibranium, their entire society is kryptonite. which is just fucking with the super family. So Superman wakes up after like 3 months of being in a coma from this whole thing where the meteorite lands on him and discovers that this is a thing, but also finds out that he has new power, which we're led to believe takes away his vulnerability to kryptonite. So I think he's got something. This is way better than that one shot he did and the free comic book day issue that he did. I don't know why he didn't start with this and those two things, because this is 10 times better than those two things were. So I'll be interested to see where it goes. I'll probably follow it for a few issues, see if it keeps up and does something interesting. I want to know how he handles not being vulnerable to kryptonite anymore, because that's a big thing. It's a big change.
Well, and there's I think I saw a solicit or something where there's they deal with kryptonite spectrum.
Yeah, that's a Black Label book though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Excited about that one too.
But you know what? I think you could tie the Green Lantern spectrum into the kryptonite spectrum and do some really cool stuff there.
Yeah.
You'd have to explain why Green Lantern has never been, hurting him, but
comic book science it, retcon it, do something.
Mr. Terrific's got that figured out. He's fine.
All right, so I got two more for you. As part of my retro reread series, I'm going through Fool Killer. So I read Fool Killer number 3. Have you read Fool Killer before?
I have read Fool Killer several times, my friend. It is one of my favorite 90s shenanigans. I mean, I prefer a Sleepwalker, but let's talk some Fool Killer.
So this is my first time through it.
Okay.
And I think the book is progressively getting better. The first issue was kind of weak, but then issue 2 really got ramped up. Right. This is like full bore. Our lead character is going out there, killing fools, taking care of shit. And that's basically the issue, where at the end he finds this pimp that he found on the street that he tries to kill, but his bodyguards handle it. And the big reveal at the end is the bodyguard's still coming after him. And then there's the side story of him as a normal dude trying to figure shit out as a fast food worker after his life was just ruined. And also, like, possibly starting a relationship with this woman he's working with.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on. But I like this issue, especially since we finally get to see, like, what it's all about, what's going on, and get into the part where he's going to start killing some fools, which is what I wanted.
And we haven't got to the crossover yet, right? So issue 4, I think, is when we start seeing crossovers, right?
I've not read that far yet, so I don't know. Okay. But we got the original, the second Fool Killer, who's in the mental asylum right now, and his therapist is like, hey, you involved with this? Even though he says no. And that's all we get of him. And then we got the third one, which is Kurt, who's out there, and he actually puts on the costume in this issue and everything. It's awesome. It's goofy as hell, and I fucking love it. I'm excited. I think as soon as we're done here, I'm going to be reading 4, so I can do my write-up for that. So you can tell it's a book I'm really having fun with. And I got this last book that I felt like I had to read this week. It's a little indie comic, actually an ash can, called The Federalist.
Oh, you finally read The Federalist. Okay. The guy who harassed me to make The Federalist, And by the way, for the record, I didn't know this book was coming when I made The Federalist. Just for the record, I want to make sure that that's very clear. This book was not in my zeitgeist.
I want you to know that book you have in your hand was the next thing I was going to read, but I was like, Travis is on the show. I got to finally read The Federalist for him. I like the concept you got here. Okay. It's, exactly as you kind of said to me, it's set in that time right after Revolutionary War, and it's a Punisher-esque story, but this guy's going after ex-Brits. And I like his motivation. I like the character design. I like the world. Yeah, give me more of this, man.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I like it's coming. It's coming. I promise. But yeah, I like it. I like in fact, before writing the next issue in the ash can, I forgot how I wrote it, and I had to rewrite the first issue because I didn't read the ash. Like, even before when I got it printed, I'm just so into the next level of doing things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as I've got the whole Federalist, like the 4 issue done, I didn't write it like I wrote the Ash Cannon. I was like, oh, I like this better. So I had to go back and write it in the pulpus like style.
And you do that thing I love in comics, and like every comic does this. At least big two comics do it. But it's one of those quirks with comics that I just love, which is when he says his name and he's like, whatever the line is, but like, and I'm the Federalist, and it's done as the logo design.
Yeah.
So shout out to Jerome for that one. That's always a fun little gag to do. But yeah, it's really good, man. I liked it.
I appreciate that. So, but the other books that I read this week is Amazing Spider-Man. Are you reading Amazing? It's really good, and I don't want it to be good because Joe Kelly.
Yep.
Like I don't want Joe. Here's my thing, and I'm sorry if Marvel cancels me because of this, but you have Jeff Loeb, and then we have who's coming up. Matt Fraction is the new Batman writer after that. Right?
Yep.
And before that was Chip Zdarsky.
Mm-hmm.
Those are three of the biggest names in comics. You know who's not one of the biggest names in comics, Marvel? Joe Kelly. You don't understand why the flagship Marvel has Joe Kelly.
Especially...
And you're fine, Joe Kelly. You're a fine writer. I'm not trying to give you shit, but...
I thought, when I was first reading Dark Patterns, I thought they were setting up Dan Waters to be the next Batman guy. I really did. The way he's writing that book, how good it is, and how it mimicked what they did with Chip. And then to give it to Remender was amazing. Like, I'm excited for that.
Matt Fraction.
I'm sorry, Matt Fraction. I'm going to get Batman either way.
Right.
Like, you don't need to put one of the best writers in the business on it. But for me, and I'm in the minority on this one because Spider-Man is as big, if not bigger than Batman. So I guess you don't need to put one of the best writers in the business on him either. But if you want me to jump on Spider-Man, Chip Zdarsky would do it.
Right.
I would read the fuck out of that.
Well, and he saved Cap for you, right? Like, because last time we spoke, you were ready to be done with Cap. And I'm sure you're not leaving with Chip and him.
I was at the point where I was not going to read another Cap book. Like I was not. Right. They had to do something drastic for me to read the next Cap book, and they did. They hired Chip Zdarsky. So,
and again, we were super excited about JMS. I got his whatever book came out this week of JMS. I haven't
Hulk and Doctor Strange.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
Like that. I still am so shocked about that. Rocket Raccoon and Doctor Doom. It was so good. It did not deserve to be good at all.
Dude, Nick Fury and Fing Fang Foom was fun too.
Yeah.
And I loved how he fit it into the timeline perfectly. Like, yeah, it's great.
So I mean, JMS is really good. So stuff, but Chip over there is great, and I think Chip is the right. This is going to sound crazy, but I think having a Canadian write American Captain America is for the best. Right? Like, I think we need an outside perspective of what America is to do it proper, because it's such a mess politically, and what people's opinion of what America is so divided right now. An outside perspective talking about America, and I think his stuff is going to be set in the past, so it's not going to be relevant anyways. But
I think getting a guy like Chip, who's done such diverse work throughout his career and done it to a standard, and hasn't gone down. I'm sure Chip has an opinion, like everybody in the world.
Oh yeah,
but I've read a majority of Chip's work, and there's some commentary throughout his work, especially in something like Public Domain
and Daredevil too. There was some stuff in Daredevil.
But he stays out of harsh topics of the day a lot, and setting that book in the past is a statement on its own of, let's just go back to what I said, to the easy good guy, bad guy dynamic, tell a good Cap story, and rebuild this character from kind of maybe he doesn't feel this way, but as the fan, I feel like it looks like they're trying to rebuild the character from like the trash they've put out for the past 5 to 6 years.
But even the JMS, going back to the JMS, the part of it that we liked is when they were using the flashbacks. The minute they got away from that, We're like,
because he wanted to get into the politics of the day too much. Of look at Nazis back then. Hey, Nazis today. It's like, okay, that's the story you want to tell. Fine. I don't think it's working because you keep going on off the rail with it by like having a doll that's Doctor Strange. But it just he never finished that through line that he was trying to build of like this thing that happened back in the day, how it's affecting the present in a way that made sense to me. And
then he just got announced on another book recently. And I was really shocked because I felt like the ending of Cap was like a message from Marvel. We're done with JMS. We're out of the JMS building. And it felt like he was going, I want to talk about Thor and Spider and put them all together and do one little like hurrah and say goodbye. Like that's what I felt that was. And then he has another book coming.
Well, that's why I like his one shots he's doing.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't have the time to build those. He just has to tell a good story. And I think he can tell great stories, but he gets too in the weeds of his own bullshit sometimes. So yeah, we'll see. I'm excited to be excited about Cat Book again. And I'll also be excited about Daredevil book down the line again.
God, is that book awful.
Still reading it, but yeah. I don't disagree with you. I think it's just okay at best.
Here's why I'm reading it. Because I just don't believe... Well, actually, that guy's on a major book right now somewhere else, too. He just got a DC book that I was like, what?
What's his last name?
I don't remember.
Daredevil comic.
Since I didn't talk to you last week, and I really want to talk about it, though, did you get Battle Beast?
Yes.
So I was really lucky and opened the blind bag and got number 2 as well.
So my store didn't get any blind bags. And I was really upset about that.
I mean, that from what you've told me about your store, that kind of tracks. He kind of like does his own thing. It's like an old school comic store.
Well, mind you, I love my shop. I'm friends with the owner.
Yeah.
Like we play D&D together. He's the only man in the world that hates Robert Kirkman.
Okay.
So like whenever, like remember when Kirkman put out Die 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 and sent a thing to comic shops for like, here's free comics for you to sell.
Right.
And then wrote that little note about like, I wanted to bring back excitement in the comics.
Right.
That happened. I came in the shop. I was like, hey, that book came out from Kirkman. Can I get a copy of it? Do you have extras? He's like, yeah, whatever. And he went on a tangent with me about how Kirkman's an idiot because apparently he doesn't read comics because comics are still exciting and all this. Just because he hates Kirkman. So yeah, it does track. But it was upsetting because I kind of wanted to get one just to kind of have fun with it. But
well, it makes you feel better. I got the issue 2, so I was super excited. Then I opened another one and got a cover A. So
and Saladin Ahmed is doing Justice League Red, which I didn't know existed until right this moment.
Right. That was the other thing. And I was just like, really?
That's fine. This team's terrible, so.
The other thing I read this week was the Daredevil Unleashed. Did you read that? The last part of that?
No.
Did you get it at all?
I get it. I got it, yeah. I got behind on Daredevil as a whole, and I'm slowly catching up, so I haven't even cracked that series yet.
Yeah. No, it's good. I mean, it's Return of the Muse, which is good, because with Muse being such a big deal in the thing, and Muse is in that Charles Soule's thing as well, the end whatever they're doing.
Yes,
Dark. Yeah.
Which I like that first issue a lot.
Really good,
yeah.
And doesn't it feel like it ties to Chip Zdarsky's Cap Run? Like I feel like they're in the same universe.
Possibly, yeah. It felt like that Avengers book Chip did too, the Far Flung Future Avengers book.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it felt like it was that Cap as well. Like same grizzled look and feel to him.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of good. I can't remember all the books I'm reading, but there's so many good ones we talk about.
Yeah, no, and this was a good week too. There's a lot of stuff because I think a couple of Batman books came out, right? Didn't Batman and Robin and Bat Detective, and then I read Moon Knight. You get Moon Knight still, right?
Yes.
Didn't read it.
Yes, but I'm a few issues behind.
Yeah. It is the best issue in a long time, which is I know saying something because they've been really consistently good.
Yeah, I'm a little bit behind on Moon Knight, but that series, starting from like the original run that McKay was doing, has been the best Moon Knight I can remember. Like, I really love his version and what he's doing there. I think there's a lot of cool things happening in that book.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if they want to pull him from it because they have him doing bigger things, and he refuses to, knowing that that's going to be his legacy character. Like,
I've been meaning to reach out to him because we had him on the show a while ago. He's a pretty easygoing dude. I would love to hear more about that because I don't know anyone who's done Moon Knight and then gone to be the most important writer at Marvel.
Right, yeah. Because when you're writing them, it's really the main X-Men title. That's the main X-Men title right now. I know.
Yeah.
I don't think you're an X-Men guy at all, so you're not reading either of them. But
no.
Between the two, Gail Simone's like, here's the kids, they're hanging out. And this is like X-Men continuity, what Magneto's who, what the plot of the world is. That's Jed McKay's doing. And then Avengers, obviously, that's tying into everything. You look at the Doom stuff, it's tying into all the Doom stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, and then I'm reading most of the Absolute stuff, at least the big three.
I couldn't get into Wonder Woman. I just couldn't. But
I really love Wonder Woman. See, you don't read any of the Godzilla stuff,
Superman.
but the Here They Be Aliens book is a lot of fun. Yeah,
and I like I think the Flash is great. I think it's the best thing Jeff Lemire's written in a long time.
Very cool. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. So we had him on the show a few weeks ago. Did you read the new Gwenpool by any chance?
No. They brought Gwen Stacy back. It is a moral issue in my heart, and I know she's came back a couple of times, but no.
So I can't stand Gwenpool in any way, shape, or form. Not a bad book. Not gonna lie to you.
All right. Yeah. I believe it could be good, but I will never give that shot. You've literally offended me by design.
So I guess we've gone on quite a bit, so let's wrap it on up. Where can people find you on the internet? You
can find me at Travis Gibb at Substack. That's where I talk about all the books that I have coming out because I'm a publisher. Orange Cone Productions is my comic company where you can buy all my books, but I write for a lot of other people. It's mostly a lot of other indie guys, but I do a lot of anthologies and one-shots and things for other people as well. So if you want to learn all about what I'm doing there, follow me on social media and do all that stuff. Yeah,
definitely. You can follow me on social media, whether that's X, Blue Sky, or whatever, at Fortress Chris. And also my Substack is chriscomicscorner.substack.com. And if you want to follow the show on social media, whether that's X, Blue Sky, whatever, it is at Fortress Pod. And then our website, fortressofcomicnews.com. If you want to support the show, best ways to do it, 5-star reviews on podcatchers, on YouTube. Like the videos, subscribe to the channel, comment down below about what you thought, and then you can do more over at patreon.com/fortresscomics. Thank you all so much for watching and or listening this week. We'll see y'all here next week.
I look forward to those who see my in memoriam when I die from the whales to attack my cruise ship.